On Memorial Day 2025, the heart of Dover beat a little prouder. At the corner of Henry Law Avenue and George Street, an unassuming intersection with a storied past, Dover's American Legion Post 8 rededicated a long-neglected World War I and World War II marker and honored a square named for one of the city's fallen sons, Sergeant Herbert Ayer, Jr. The rededication ceremony was not only a tribute to Ayer and the World War I and World War II veterans of the Squall Point neighborhood, but also a restoration of history, dignity, and memory. The World War I marker had for years hung precariously from a post barely noticed by passers-by. Thanks to Legion Post 8, it now stands proudly affixed to the original granite monument dedicated in 1946 to Ayer, the first resident of Squall Point to die in World War II. The square bearing his name, once the center of a community and the scene of a parade of 2,500 at its dedication nearly 80 years ago, had faded into the background of Dover's busy downtown. Not anymore. Wayne Gower, commander of Post 8, reflected on the restoration during Memorial Day remarks at Pine Hill Cemetery.
As always, one of the great things that I love about Dover, New Hampshire is the way this community comes together to honor its veterans. We look around our community and we see statues throughout the area. You look at the McConnell Center, an icon of our city. It houses the Butterfield Gym, part of our community. The city embraces its veterans and their history. All of you here today show us that. So one of the things that I want to talk about today is one of those monuments that we honor our citizens with. I received a message about a year and a half ago from a couple of my mentors, Ernie Clark and Greg Kedglary, and if any of you know them, they're very persistent, and they're part of who I am today because of that. But they had said to me, Wayne, the Squall Point Monument on Henry Law Road is a disgrace to our citizens. You're the commander of the Legion. What can you do about that? And so American Legion Post 8 took it upon ourselves to go on an endeavor to try to restore this monument. The World War I plaque, which contains 47 names, was literally hanging off of a green signpost that you would put for your garden fence. The World War II monument, although it was attached to the stone, was barely readable with debris and fungus growing on it as the monuments do. And so we endeavored to repair this, and we're happy to be with you today and announce that the Squall Point Monument is be restored. And we invite you all to come down and to see it, to honor those members who are named on there. This monument was dedicated in 1946 and was the first monument in the city of Dover to honor the service of both men and women at that time. It is truly a great monument, along with all the other monuments in our town. Thank you all for everything that you do supporting our veterans, their families, for remembering their stories, for continuing our traditions, and especially for being here today. Thank you all for being here. God bless America.
The Legion also honored the veterans of Squall Point at their May 24 Veteran of the Month ceremony, many of whom lived in one of Dover's most humble and tight-knit neighborhoods. Plans are now underway to give the monument a more prominent home. As part of Dover's Henry Law Avenue reconstruction project, the city has proposed moving the marker to a new roundabout nearby. The redesign is part of a comprehensive, pedestrian-friendly transformation of the area. This revitalization is especially poignant given the area's layered past. Squall Point, which once sat on the edge of the bustling Cochecho River, was home to shipyards, small homes, and a reputation, sometimes rough, often resilient. In the mid-1800s, vessels like the Lydia and the Martha were built nearby. But by the late 19th century, the neighborhood was marked by poverty and crime. Despite the hardships, Squall Point forged a proud community. The men listed on the World War I and World War II plaques, and Herbert Ayer himself, who enlisted in 1943 and died the following year at just 19, were sons of that soil. Ayer, a sergeant in the 777th Bomber Squadron, gave his life in service, earning both the Air Medal and Purple Heart. His name is etched in granite, but his story, and those of the men and families of Squall Point, are etched in Dover's soul. Dover's past has always lived in its corners, in granite markers, faded plaques, and neighborhood names slowly lost to time. But on Memorial Day this year, in the sunlit intersection once known as Squall Point, Dover did what it does best. It remembered. And in remembering, it honored.